So President Trump fired his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. Now, we need to break this down in multiple ways because, there are obviously upsides of Jeff Sessions no longer being Attorney General. But we need to be crystal clear that the reason Donald Trump did this is as nefarious as it gets. So it is a very nuanced conversation. But first and foremost, let's just talk about Jeff Sessions, the person and the public servant, even though it's weird to call him a public servant. He's literally one of the most conservative senators when he was a senator in modern day America. I mean, you name the issue, he was wrong. It's not even, there's no bright spot. You could point to many politicians, and I could give you, at least one tiny bright spot. Even with fucking Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz randomly supported Bernie Sanders' amendment to bring cheaper drugs from Canada into the U.S. I was floored, just like you're probably floored hearing it now. But I was like, oh, shit, what? Cruz did something right? Trump, when he randomly he wasn't random, he said he was going to do it, he axed TPP. I was like, oh, shit, he did something right. Now, again, it's largely bullshit because then in the renegotiation of NAFTA, he slipped in some of the provisions of TPP, and 93,000 jobs have been outsourced in his administration. But point is, even given all the mitigating factors and the fact that the net result is still negative, there were a few things where okay, not bad there. Jeff Sessions is Jeff Sessions. God damn it, I'm not sure he's ever been right about anything. I mean, just so deeply, deeply, deeply right-wing, embarrassingly so, dead wrong, horrible for the American people, yada, 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 giant fucking drug warrior who said, if you smoke marijuana, you're a bad person. Jeff, you're so stupid. Okay. So he was the Attorney General. Disaster. I thought he should have been fucking blocked in the first place. I thought the Democrats should have raised holy hell over this. But now Trump is getting rid of him. Now, why is he getting rid of him? Is Donald Trump sitting down and doing an analysis like I just did, where he's like, well, would you look at that? His record as a senator was pretty horrible. Couldn't care less about that shit. According to USA Today, here's the reason they give, and here's what they say about this situation. Look, Sessions' ouster immediately moves oversight of the ongoing investigation to interim successor Whitaker, who once called for the inquiry, talking about the Mueller inquiry, to be dramatically scaled back. Sessions recused himself from the probe in March 2017 for failing to disclose election year meetings with Russian ambassador Sergei Kislyak. That, and Trump's abrupt dismissal of FBI Director James Comey in May, prompted the appointment of former FBI Director Robert Mueller as the Justice Department Special Counsel to direct the inquiry. With Whitaker at the helm, it was not immediately clear what it meant for Mueller's future. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, who had been overseeing the probe, was at the White House Wednesday for what administration officials described as a previously scheduled meeting. Now, why did he fire him? They say, quote, Whitaker, in a 2017 article published by CNN before joining the Justice Department, called on Rosenstein to limit the scope of Mueller's investigation and block review of Trump's family finances. So, in other words, fire Sessions because he recused himself in the Mueller investigation. And so Trump does not have his own attorney general backing him up. Okay. Which, by the way, his own attorney general shouldn't back him up in that. The attorney general is supposed to do his job objectively and not be a fucking political arm of the president and do whatever the president wants. So get rid of Sessions for that reason. And Trump has been almost open about this. He said it. Like, why would I pick him if he wouldn't, if he recused himself, why would I have picked him? I wouldn't have picked him if I knew he would have recused himself. He's basically just came out and admitted that. But the more important part is, so get rid of Sessions and then bring in this guy Whitaker. Whitaker wrote an article where he said, the Mueller investigation, okay, I guess, but limit the scope of Mueller's investigation and block the review of Trump's family finances. So do you understand that? That is so goddamn important. Now, I've gotten a lot of shit from some people because they don't agree with me on the details of the Mueller investigation, but I have been so utterly, mind-numbingly, overwhelmingly clear from the beginning that when it comes to the Russia aspect of the investigation, I don't think there's as much there as people want to believe is there. I just don't. I don't think that on the Russia angle specifically that you're going to find Donald Trump committed treason and met in a smoke-filled back room with Vladimir Putin or some goofy shit like that. Not going to happen. However, I did a segment when I think it was a Bloomberg or a Reuters article came out where it said, oh, by the way, the Mueller investigation has now been expanded to include Trump's finances and an inquiry into his business practices. When that article broke, I immediately came out on my show that same day and I said, oh, now the Mueller investigation is 100% real and I totally support it. Because if you want to look at Donald Trump's business records and his personal finances to see if he's a criminal, oh, you're going to find so much there. 100% you're going to find so much there. For fuck's sake, the dude went bankrupt 6 times. He's financed by some shady fucking characters. He's got a hotel in Panama where there's credible allegations that they're doing money laundering. I mean, God, are you serious? You have any idea how much you're going to find in terms of foreign governments investing in Donald Trump's businesses so they can get favors policy-wise? You're going to find all of that. The guy did fucking Trump University, and he settled in court because he was guilty of fucking fraud. He settled. He's paid out millions of dollars because people were like, hey man, you committed fraud. And everybody was like, yeah, it does appear all the evidence points in that direction. So he settled. I mean, God damn it. Yes, he's a fucking criminal. Absolutely he's a criminal. He's a financial criminal. So when Mueller expanded the investigation of that, I thought, oh, now it's getting serious as fuck. So I've always tried to be clear. The Russia angle, I don't think there's much there. The fucking financial angle, 100%. You're going to find all types of crimes there. So what is Trump doing? Bringing in a guy whose main argument is, again, and I quote, Whitaker in a 2017 article published by CNN before joining the Justice Department called on Rosenstein to limit the scope of the Mueller investigation and block review of Trump's family's finances. So in other words, let's limit the scope. And hey guys, can you please only search on the Russia stuff and do not search on the family finances? So in other words, they're scared of exactly what the fuck I've been warning about. And by the way, you know who else backed up what I said? Now, I don't like this guy. This guy's a fucking asshole. But he was in the administration. He probably knows better than anybody else. Steve Bannon famously said, and they buried the lead in this story because they focused on the Russia meeting thing. But Steve Bannon famously said, it's the money laundering, stupid. So that's why Donald Trump is now has a guy for his attorney general who is running interference, and the whole idea is limit the scope of Mueller's investigation and block the review of the Trump family finances, Trump's family's finances, Trump family's finances, Trump family finances, however you say it. Limit the review. That's the point. So this is... Listen, 100%, this is obstruction of justice. What the fuck else would you call it? What else would you call it? I mean, honestly, we all despise Comey, or at least I think most of the people in my audience do. But what do you think getting rid of him was about? Like, he's almost admitted repeatedly, like, I'm doing obstruction of justice. Now, I get it, that is hard to prove in a court of law and all that stuff. But that is what's happening. Like, that is the intent of what he's doing, for sure. So, what a weird situation, man. And we are in a constitutional crisis. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not the kind of person who pretends like, oh, the constitutional crisis like just started now. No, I mean, as somebody pointed out on Twitter, and I retweeted because I agreed with it, we've been in a constitutional crisis since 9/11. I mean, the fucking Patriot Act itself is a giant constitutional crisis. The offensive wars against countries that didn't attack us, that killed minimum 200,000 civilians, constitutional crisis. Guantanamo Bay, constitutional crisis. The list goes on and on. So, don't get me wrong, we have 1,000 constitutional crises going on. But here's a new one.